All to work.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bothak,
Here.
Commissioner Enslin,
Here.
Commissioner Loving,
Here.
Commissioner Scott,
Here.
Commissioner McHarg,
Here.
Commissioner Schnabel is absent.
Approval of minutes, February 9th, 2022.
So moved. Second.
Discussion?
Nick, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I don't think those are February's minutes. I don't think Michelle had them quite ready yet. Those were previously approved. They just need to be signed.
These are the January minutes.
Yes.
Let's hold off on February. I believe I know why we do not have it yet. Hold off on that. Can you make sure that the February minutes approval is on next month's agenda?
Absolutely.
Reports, Angie? Greg?
No.
Roseanne?
None.
Jennifer?
None.
None from me as well. Jane, anything?
The redevelopment commissioner treasurer's role in accordance with 36.714 are being worked on now, and I don't see any cause to feel that they would not be submitted on a timely manner. And that, I don't have anything.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. RDC attorney Clay.
That's good, sir.
Here.
I had no report.
Blue, Tina.
Good evening, commissioners. I'll just give you an update on economic development activities. This month I participated just last week in the state of Indiana is launching an SSI project through the Northwest Indiana Forum. So Burns Harbor, as I mentioned last month, is one of the communities in which the state consultant is looking at larger parcels to inventory. So we went through a process of looking at 20 sites throughout Porter County. And 2 sites were identified within Burns Harbor. We applied, we discussed some of the pros and cons of the sites. These are sites that aren't, one that's not typically on the radar for development, one that we are familiar with. So we are just continuing right now to assist them in their data collection. Their first round of evaluation was looking at larger scale sites, so more than, a couple hundred acres. And then from there, there will be subsequent rounds where we look at some smaller sites that may be high strategically for redevelopment. So I'll continue to keep you informed about this project, but again, this is a new effort underway by the state, facilitated through the Northwest Indiana Forum. Also through the Northwest Indiana Forum is the Northwest Indiana Ready Grant. You will recall we have a $1 million grant to supplement funding in Westport PUD to cover public infrastructure. So we just received word from the forum that they need essentially some updated, refreshed information about our project. So that they can scope that appropriately as they proceed with the grant agreement. So I'll be working on that next week. In addition to those activities, we do have some of the businesses that are looking to relocate into Burns Harbor. They've made their way initially through the zoning board and so forth. They're moving through plan commission. So I continue to coordinate with some of the owners and the site owners and as well as business owners, just to facilitate their movement through Burns Harbor systems. I did have a conversation with Shirley Hines Land Trust relative to our Lake Michigan Coastal Program grant. So we are targeting early May to begin a series of stakeholder meetings, which is part of the grant to look at creating the Marquette Greenway Trail Operations and Maintenance Plan, as well as the ecological management plan along with that. So more to come next month with respect to that. That concludes my report on grants and economic development. I can cover Marquette Greenway and Westport in later in the agenda.
Thank you so much. Mr. Schaumel is absent, so no update from the Dublin School Board. Correspondence.
You don't have any. Sorry.
That's right. All right, old business. Back to you, Tina. Marquette Greenway Trail update.
Yeah, well, the biggest announcement is that we received approval of our environmental document, which means we are now, once we have the final signatures in place, we are green lighted to proceed with our projects. So this is a huge win. As you know, the delay had been frustrating for the town, as well as, you know, our project teams and so forth. So we're excited to begin to reactivate the other phases of the Marquette Greenway project. With that, we have right now CMAQ grants. So again, for newer members, the CMAQ grant is a federal grant that we received, and it is paying for a section of the trail, which is essentially the northeast corner of Westport at Stanley Street north, across Macaulay property, who's here tonight, and ending just before the river. So the CMAQ grant, the two activities that we will have underway, one is the right-of-way, which is the acquisition of the Macaulay property. And then secondly, we will be initiating the construction management services. So that's the engineer who oversees the construction of the trail. We do have an RFP process that's still in progress. So we hope to have that final decision for the April meeting. The second segment of the grant that we talk about, it's called RTP, which is Recreational Trails Program. This is a state grant, and this covers the trail that is, we call it the bookends. So it's just the sections of the trail just outside of the Westport development here that would connect at Blue Road and 140 Hagland and 149. And then the other is diagonally across, again, in that northeast corner near Stanley. We will begin to initiate purchasing some amenities, the trail amenities like park benches and so forth. That will help us keep in compliance with the grant in terms of drawing down some funds. And then we will be proceeding with the construction of that, and we'll be engaging in another RFP process for that. The last section of the trail is a bridge that goes over the Norfolk Southern line and connects over into National Park property through to the town boundary with Porter. That is being funded through the RAISE grant, and that was part of the bundle that NERC submitted. So NERC is our regional planning agency, and they are overseeing that project. So I continue to be in discussions with Mitch Barloga to understand how much of this work will they spearhead, and or how much would be our responsibility in terms of some of the construction management, design, engineering, and management of that. So I'll tell you more about that in meetings ahead. And the one thing that I had reported last month is, given some of the ways that federal funds cannot be used to match other federal funds, our local share for that cost has been increased. And I just need to double check with Mitch Barloga on what that impact is for us, but I will definitely share that here with you all, as well as with the clerk treasurer, so we understand cash flow, the impact of cash flow on that. I believe that's all I have. Oh, just one smaller item with respect to Marquette Greenway. Our neighbors, the city of Portage, are doing some tree clearing as part of their trail development that connects with ours right out here, the next level trail section. So just to make staff and residents aware that we may have tree contractors moving through the city, either through Boo Road to access the national park and the lands to get to the area where the trees need to be cleared. They may also need to use the BP pipeline access and potentially our trail as well. So just to make people aware, in the next week or so, they may see some additional trucks out, and that's what they're here for, to clear trees on the Portage side of the Marquette Greenway. And just a smaller note along that too, Shirley Hines Land Trust, if you remember, we, when Arsler Middle was transitioning to Cleveland Cliffs, they awarded $100,000 to Burns Harbor to do ecological restoration on the 60 acres. They were able to do that through an existing Shirley Hines Land Trust grant agreement with Sogol, which is the Sustain Our Great Lakes program. So we will also be having Shirley Hines Land Trust staff utilizing the Marquette Greenway Trail here to be able to reach farther areas of the site. So just to let you know, you might see some different types of trucks out in the area, but that's what they're here for. That concludes Marquette Greenway.
Excellent, thank you for that. Number 2, Westport PUD.
So with Westport PUD, we did have an opportunity to kind of restart our regular meetings with Holiday Properties. So we did a recap of where the project stood prior to us being awarded the READY grant. So we knew that that was going to be an important piece of the funding composition. We also received approval of BP for the design of the trail and some final costs of what it might look like, and some legal paperwork that speaks to this agreement between BP and the town to be able to develop in the right of way. So we do have that document that'll be coming forth to the town council. We did not get a final revised version of that document, but we will speak to it tonight, at least at the town council meeting, to let them know that this agreement is forthcoming.
Is that what we were talking about earlier?
Yes, it is. It came to. And then because there's been at least 4 months since we've interacted with Baker Tilly on the finances for bond financing, we did reach back out to Baker Tilly. Matt Ackerley and his team are just revisiting the financial numbers of the town, looking at the revenue within the allocation area, just reviewing those numbers to see if there's any adjustments in the amount of money that could be made available, or that would change the bond financing in any way. That concludes Westport.
Right. I said my old business is the trail counters. Let's make a decision on this.
Actually, last month, a decision was made to proceed with the 3 counters. And just, I can report that I did follow up with Mitch Barloga at NERC to let him know that the town, the Redevelopment Commission authorized 3 counters, so I'm just waiting to receive guidance from him in terms of next steps, and, you know, obviously that would create some kind of invoice to the town that we would work through the clerk treasurer's office.
So we still don't have the invoice.
No, we don't, so. We could, next month, we could remove this as a standalone item, and I can just report on it as part of Marquette Greenway if you like.
That's fine. All right. Thank you, Tina. New business? Approval of claims register.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Enslin,
Yes.
Commissioner McHarg,
Yes.
Commissioner Bothak,
Yes.
Commissioner Leving.
Yes. Approval of financial report, February 2022. Discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner Enslin,
Yes.
Commissioner McHarg,
Yes.
Commissioner Bothak,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Leving.
Yes. Go to the order. Double.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bothak,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Enslin,
Yes.
Commissioner McHarg,
Yes.
Commissioner Leving.
Yes. We're adjourned.